Finals footy is here. It's also back, I'll tell you that much. G'day, I'm your host, James Clements, not to be confused with, Blake Carousella.
He pulled off a long sleeve way better than you.
I don't know, I rocked a long sleeve when I was a kid, and I pulled it off pretty well. Just like the weird little skinny popsicle-headed ginger kid with the long sleeves, it just fits, right? Anyway, this is the AFL Today Show live, brought to you by TopSport, the home of the footy finals. Just as well because it is the prelim finals this week. And joining me are local weirdos, full-blown footy nuffs. Some would call them AFL experts. Not many, but some. Alex Donnelly, he's actually here for a Thursday show.
Still waiting for the turtlenecking to start. It hasn't kicked in yet. I'm expecting it tomorrow once I get on the plane.
Did you spike his coffee, Leo? Or?
I wish.
Yeah,
No.
nice. Just, the old little... beep, beep, off we go. And just like, that's not turtleneck and that's just a stream. Let's go. And in the middle, obviously, is the social boy, Leo, filling in for the stats boy.
Yeah, I'm feeling healthy. The stats guy, unfortunately, he's out sick with something. He couldn't speak.
He probably picked it up at daycare. That's how it goes, isn't it? When you're that small, you just run around with all these little kids. He's like licking stuff at the playground. Classic stats boy.
Is this coming from experience, Jim? Or?
That's what he's at the moon, says the stats boy.
He's here.
He's had he's had some cough
Oh, yeah, he's all hopped up on cough medicine.
He's flying. The moon has been pretty spectacular last
He
couple of
can't
days.
feel nothing.
Anyway, this is the live show. It is the Thursday team show, which is always the favourite of the, it's just, can you feel the tingling excitement of the footy weekend ahead? But before we get into the breakdowns of the prelims and all the news, because there is so much news that it's ridiculous, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Jump in the comments. We're doing it right now. It's all live. We're on Facey as well. Azza Avery says, hello.
Used to work with Azza. Good bloke, Aaron.
Hello. How are you? I'm well, thank you, Azza.
We are good.
Yeah, good, thanks. How about yourself? But this is live on YouTube, live on Facey. Get around all the socials and stuff. Make Leo earn his crust.
Yes.
So he doesn't have
honestly.
so he doesn't go to the footy every weekend and just be, tied up to a laptop and chucking in data. Is that what you do?
Sure.
He throws balls over his head as well.
But the cool thing is,
Occasionally.
wherever you get your podcast, like, subscribe, and star, or we'll fight you. Footy is back for the second last weekend
Don't say it, Jim.
of the men's season, which
Yes,
is
I was gonna throw that in there because we go through till the end of November for the dub.
We do. But before we do anything else, before we do the prelims, let's sink our teeth into some news. Hey, is this like real? Like the Petrarca vibe? Like, what are we doing? It's like I'm fascinated by this Christian Petrarca story. From the get-go, I've been absolutely just locked in on it, just going, what's going on here? Let's pair him up with Cripper and Walshy and away we go. But it came out that Christian Petrarca's like, nah, I'm not going to the best and fairest, boys. I've got a Red Bull training camp in Austria to be at.
I'd go to Austria.
I'm more interested in knowing what a Red Bull training camp is for Christian Petrarca.
I swear he did that last year.
He did it last year. Yeah.
Was it during the best and fairest, however?
Could have been. He
I
was there
can't
for
remember.
a while.
Does he not have enough sway to get them to move the dates?
Probably not.
Probably not. Not yet.
What's the training camp? What are we doing? Is he going to jump off the moon? Remember wasn't that Red Bull dude who got the hot air balloon to basically space and then went, hey, he just jumped off. It's that's gnarly. That was sick. I also love how Red Bull have a finger in all the niche sports and then just F1.
Yeah.
It's we love rally. We love
Windsurfing.
BMXing. That weird, F1, but for planes. Which is
Plane races.
It feels like it's just rich dude sports. It's
Yeah.
give me a submarine race or something. It's yes, we've all got submarines. Ring, ding, 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 ding. I've got submarines on the brain after that Ocean Gate.
I'm not, this is like me. Don't get in small planes. Don't get on helicopters, submarines. Leave me out.
Yeah, they showed the photos of that one that blew up trying to find that Titanic, and I'm like, this is awesome. What a story. Anyway, so Petrarca's not going to be there. How good is this? What do we make of this? Melbourne are nah, it's fine. It's all good. Nothing to see here, folks. Do you buy that?
I don't care.
Oh, okay. That's,
honestly, it's a story about nothing. He's not going to win the best and fairest. There's probably still some fences to be mended, given he was hey guys, I kind of want to leave this place. It sucks.
I just don't.
So maybe not a night on the beers with his mates probably doesn't help.
That 100. This is. I would counterpoint that by going wrong. Like, I think this is huge. I think a night on the beers with his mates fixes it. Unless you're hanging out with Clayton Oliver.
Maybe he's not allowed to drink beers.
Maybe.
It's a part of his training camp.
Well, no, it's a part of the recovery from the spleen as well.
I don't know. I just think it's not a good look, is it? After everything we've sort of gone through with him, and he says he wants to stay. They want him to stay, but I won't come to the BNF. I don't know. A little weird.
Yeah.
I find it extremely, extremely strange, and I do not like it.
Do you find it sus, Jim?
Very sus.
Very sus.
Super sus. Hey, you know what else is sus? Nick Hines' mates. That was awesome. The AFL integrity unit's like, what are you guys doing here? Which is awesome. Nick Hines' mates look like bouncers from like somewhere near where Stats Boy lives. And it's just like they've probably knocked Stats Boy back from like 8 different pubs. Just like, nah, not tonight, bud. He's like, oh, come on, fellas, let me
Is that
in.
Nick Hines?
And Nick Hines wanting to go,
But it's his bald head, it's the moon.
is that the moon? No, it's Nick Hines' noggin. But also Jake Stringer had some sus mates that they allowed in.
Well, him and Nick Hines are mates, so they're just all sus.
You reckon it's a pretty hefty Venn diagram of sus mates? I like this. I do love that the AFL integrity unit's like, what are they? Literally, like, that's what they're doing. Like, what are these guys doing here? Like, what did they do in the? This is what I want to know. What did they do in the rooms to set off the alarm
They
bells?
definitely gave Sam Draper $20.
Was it just that roaming Brian interview, you reckon?
I think so. It's like, who's this guy? Oh, yeah.
It's like when the push-up king was the mates with the bikie guy, and they said, Jake, he's not allowed to come in. I was like, yeah, get stuffed.
I just want to say who Dane Beams would bring into the rooms now.
Oh,
Just saying.
Well, not Robbo.
Yeah. Nice. All right, moving on from
Mitch
Nick Hines.
Robinson.
Hey, Caleb Sarong won the Freo Best and Fairest.
Expected.
So, doing a bit of Brownlow prep, their top 3 went as expected as their Brownlow. Is Caleb Sarong, Andy Brayshaw, and then Hayden Young.
Yep.
There's absolutely
Makes
zero
sense.
surprises. So,
That ticks the boxes, yep.
so it's all good. We've also had some other ones sort of float out and about. So, I don't know.
Ben
I can't
King
believe-
didn't get in the top 10 at Gold Coast.
I'm just spewing that I didn't get invited to the Blues one. What's going on? Come on. Help a brother
You
out.
were invited to the Gold Coast one, though.
To be honest, I
That
might
was
just-
2 weeks ago, though. He missed it.
Yeah, I couldn't get up there. in time.
No, you probably were there at the
wait.
Carlton game.
That's right. I was at the Blues game. Yeah. Anyway, other little bits and bobs. The Swans want Frosty. Alex,
Yeah, that's cool. Swans do need some key position depth because Aaron Francis has come in and he's shown that he's a good VFL player that's just not good enough at AFL level. Joel Hamling never got a run. Dane Rampy's old. Frosty's what, 30, 31?
I think 30, yeah.
Give him a 3-year deal. Come on, Frosty, come hang.
Well, I think we've only offered him 1, so if you do offer 2 to 3, every...
That's
weekly
like a
he'd take it.
pick 43? Sure.
all right.
No, I'd take 40.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a great year, so...
As long as the Blues keep Lewis Young.
Yeah.
Jack Darling off to North. Well, to the point where he's actually finally gone, yeah, can I get traded?
And Stats Guy's
Yeah.
just losing it right now. He's been complaining about it for 2 weeks.
I think I agree with Stats Guy, though, because he looked past the Jack Darling
He
this
looked
year.
cooked.
But he's just going to, as I keep saying, he's just there. It's like, take attention away from Suva. Just get someone away from him.
But I reckon opposition are just looking at their forward line and going, well, we still got to go to Larky here. Like, they're not going to go
then
to
it's like if Jack
Darling.
Darling's 25 metres out on his own, you'll kick it to him because he'll kick the goal.
Will he?
Yeah, I don't think he'll get out on his own.
But no, it's because they're on
he-
Suva and they're just leaving him
Double
there.
team Suva.
Is he out there in a wheelchair? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
2
Anyway,
years is a bit much.
2 years seems weird. And I'm like, really? Like, I could probably just go out there and have a snag.
Yeah.
We'll see how we go. Trent Cotchin is not entirely convinced about the Dusty Martin stuff. What do we reckon here? He's like 0 to 1% chance.
Did he say it in front of a green screen? Because that would change my opinion.
He said it on Talking Footy. There's a green screen involved.
I would pay. I agree. I'm with Trent on this one.
Trent Cotchin's not known for being a brain genius.
No.
You said it. Trent, I'm a big fan. I started to get more unconvinced. That makes sense. Once the sub 300,000 thing sort of got floated out there,
Yeah.
it's like, really? You reckon? Like, it's almost not. I mean, sure, he's only probably going to play half the games.
Wait, are you saying you'd say no to 300 grand?
If I'm Dustin Martin, yes. Me, no. Like,
You're not saying
I'm
no
just
to
some
300
idiot. Like, what
bucks.
are we doing here? And like, as I've always said, I'll be the vice president of common sense for just a tidy 6-figure sum. Simple as that, right? So whatever those 6 are, doesn't matter what's in front of it. We're laughing. But the entire approach of Dustin Martin would be like, does that cover my rent? Like, what are we doing? My travel expenses. You know how many like pit bulls I've got? Everyone's like, no, because you don't talk about anything. Anyway, so Trent Cotchin, brain genius. Is he going to be like a bit of a Nostradamus? A Nostratrentus? I don't know.
Nostracotchin?
A Kochstradamus. There we go.
Yeah.
That's almost got me in trouble, but that's fine. Braden Pruce got delisted. Cooper Hamilton did as well. GWS cleaning out all their awesome social guys, Leo. You better be on...
Maybe they're making
High
room
left.
for me.
Or maybe they're delisting him and he's just going full-time into social media.
Maybe.
Maybe we should hire him.
It's not a bad idea.
Let's do it.
Better than Stats Boy.
Definitely better than Stats Guy.
Eagles got rid of Zane True, Jermaine Jones, and Jordan Baker.
Sure.
It's like, I don't know if they can afford to get rid of anybody.
True.
How bad do you have to be to get delisted
They
by
might
the
all
Eagles?
get re-rookied.
They might be.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Eagles, Stephen King was over in Perth yesterday. Probably check out the basketball. Also putting his hand up for the Eagles coaching gig.
Yep.
He's a bit busy now, though. You know, still with Geelong.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
But Hayden Skipworth and Andrew McWalter are also over there as well.
Okay.
It's
They're going to be Adamusa. You're going to have the
exactly.
job 3 years.
It's-
So good
you're
luck.
You're going to get Uzade. It's
Like,
going to suck.
This is why Gian Siracusa finally hasn't put his hand up for a job going, yeah, that one sucks. I don't want to go for that one.
Gio's like, nah, I'm good. I like that. Ash Hansen's just like, I'll take it. Everyone's like, get out of here.
No one asked you.
See, Dean Cox is like, no way.
We're sorry. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting to the prelims. Don't worry about it. We've got the last little bits of news. I think we've got MX, BMX Life. While we talk, people want to hear news for the prelims. We're getting there. Don't worry about it. Max King, 6 more years.
He's got 2 more, like, as it is right now.
Sure.
You don't need to give him 6 more. Let him kick 50 goals next year.
Harris Andrews extended till 2029.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, good signing.
Which checks out. Good job by the Lions. And then finally, the Crouchers. Brad Crouch, Dunsky.
We called
Yeah,
that a month
geez.
ago.
We did. Played what? 1 game?
I don't think he played this year.
No, I
One
think-
game
I think
in
he
week.
played.
I think he played
whatever.
week 1.
Well,
Didn't
you didn't notice him, so anyway, his
why they're probably
his
getting
knee's
Jack
been
McRae.
absolutely cooked. So yeah,
he? He's also got a gig as a real estate agent already.
Yep.
Which is weird.
Cool.
Matt Crouch, Hatgate. Knock your hat off.
Oh, that I was like, what is this?
Remember how he knocked off the Powers
Hold
hat?
tickets gate.
Yeah, yeah, right. Okay, so that there was an investigation and it got dropped.
The cops went, what? No. I'm pretty sure that was the investigation.
Yeah.
So, are you going to mess with that? No.
Yeah.
He knocked his hat off. It's not assault. Get out of here, idiots. Power fans having a sook. Right. Now, that's all the news that I think we can bother with. Because the biggest thing is prelims.
Yes.
And we can at least, before we even get into anything else, I kind of just want to hit on the teams right away.
Cool.
Because we've got
one surprise.
one sort of big surprise-ish where we've got Tom Stewart in for Zach Tui.
Jeez.
So Tui gets dropped. Oishan Mullen keeps his spot.
Yeah.
Sam de Koning doesn't come back. And then obviously the forced change for the Swans with Callum Mills.
Yep.
We knew this earlier today that Robbie Fox was coming in.
Yep.
For the Power, Ryan
Wait,
Burton.
Can I give the interesting part of this? Taylor Adams isn't even an emergency for the Swans.
Ooh, I didn't realize
So,
that.
from what I've been told, there is a lot of anger coming out of Sydney.
Could he leave again?
Well, sure. But there's a lot of anger coming out of Sydney that the news of Adams not being selected and Fox being the one that was picked got out. It was about 1 o'clock this afternoon we all found out. And Sydney news doesn't usually leak. So apparently there's a little bit of heat on Tay-Tay there.
Interesting. What is it? Snitches get stitches?
Yeah. So John Lomai is just generally, it's like, you know, when you walk behind a horse, you just get kicked. Kapow! Probably happened.
Probably did.
Yeah.
I like that. And for the Power, Charlie Dixon and Ryan Burton back in. Obviously
Yeah.
for Todd Marshall out with his concussion and Will Lorenz. So pretty stiff,
Yeah.
I reckon. But
Hello to the Power Prawn Star, by the way.
Power Prawn Star's back. Where's my man boy, Stats Dude? Yeah, we fired him into the sun.
He's honestly dying.
Sorry, we sent him to the moon. Is that the moon? We're scared. Anyway, so with that in mind, we'll get into some of the matchups. We'll talk about a bunch of the players as we get into the games. But I just wanted, and I've got to assume we're on the wide camera here, producer Gerald, because I keep pitching just to you guys.
Yeah, so you're going to stare just the people.
I was fascinated by this idea. So prelims, we have talked this up, like Sydney, Geelong
Yeah.
have had the week off. What happens when you win your qualifying final, make the prelim, and lose? So this is the weird situation where you have this setup where you've got the week off, and it's the eternal question that I love. Rest versus rust.
So, and this is what a lot of
I love rest versus rust. There's no right answer. It's the best debate in the world. So I'd rather have the week off so we're all good. Don't care. Could be rusty. What's going to happen? Because what's happened? 2003, Swans lost.
Yep, they lost to Brisbane at Stadium Australia.
2005,
Brisbane went psycho.
Saints lost.
To the Swans at the MCG.
Crows lost in 06.
To West Coast.
Oof. 15 was Freo.
Can't remember that.
Crazy. 2016 we had 2. The Cats and GWS.
That was Swans and the Dogs.
Tigers in 2018. Chaos gear. Pies in 19.
That was GWS. That game was awesome.
One of the great games.
Yeah.
2020 was Port and Lions.
Does 2020 count
Not
COVID?
really,
No. Neither does 2021.
Nah, 21
2021
counts. They got pumped by like 80 points.
Port again.
That
Sucked
was
in.
That was 2 years in a row at home. I think 2020
yeah.
was at Adelaide as well,
Yeah,
wasn't
it
it?
was against Richmond.
Yeah. That's right. It started raining.
The most fascinating part of that is it was 4 times in 16 years before the pre-finals bye.
Yep.
4 times.
Yep.
So you didn't have the week off before finals, but you got the week off after your qualifying final. You're basically sorted.
Yep.
After that, now you've actually had a pre-finals bye, you've played, and then you take another week off. It sucks. You're getting killed. It's happened 7 times in 8 years. That's chaos.
So what we're
That
saying
is
is one of the qualifying finals winners will most likely lose this week, odds speaking.
It's just maths.
Yeah.
Like, I'm no math scientist, obviously.
We know.
Or math magician. But 9 of 16 teams since like the pre-finals bye came out. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So, Sydney or Geelong could be up against it.
Or
Just
both.
saying.
Yeah, or both.
Why not both? All right.
We're going to leave stats for you when we do
Yeah,
that.
he's like,
Yeah, we need the graphic.
He's like
Double
similar.
Power Prawn Star says, much rather play through. We're not mature enough to have a week off. I like that. Go Tigers says, Wombirola? Wombirola?
Yeah.
Wombirola. And Sorman says, Power definitely suffers from buys. They do. Up the Swanee says, Lol's cow. Dixon's back. Swans win then. JMC, that would not surprise me.
I want
Just
to see
saying.
how
We'll
Port
get
have
to
gone
that.
off the bye this year.
So, that is set up for the prelims.
They lost by 20 points off the bye this year too, Port.
There you go.
So 2 from 2 losses.
Nailed it. Sorman's nailed that one on the head, right? So you've got this entire setup for Friday's game. You've got
Yep.
Sydney versus Port Adelaide. Let's do it. It's time for the prelim previews. Previews. Good stuff. We go to the SCG, Alex. And when I say we, I mean you.
Yes.
Because you're going to the actual game. And I'll be sitting on my couch, neck and tins. Sydney.
Yep.
Rampaging favourites. $1.33. And of course, all of these odds are brought to you by our friends at TopSport, the home of footy finals. $1.33 and 19.5 point favourites. The Port Adelaide Power are $3.30 underdogs. And the over-under is 168.5. Do you want to start at the over-under?
All right. If the Swans are to win this, it's flying over. If we're hitting around a 150, this is where Port eke it out.
Yep.
Yeah, I reckon I'm going to go just on the under, but Swans win.
So 168, if you look at the sort of matchups between the two of them as well, like you have these moments where you go, Port Adelaide nearly hit that by themselves earlier this year. Game before that, just in the mud. Game before that, in the mud. Game before that, in the mud. Basically, all of them bar the absolute belting in the last 5 games, because you might hear this stat in a second as well.
Yeah.
They've all gone under. So
Interesting.
the correlation there as well, what's happened? Port have won all of them. So I think I completely agree with you there, Alex,
Yeah.
where if you believe Sydney can win, we're going over.
Yep.
If you reckon Port drag it down, you can go Port and the under. So that's where we sort of get to, right? What's the most, like, I don't know, bashed over their head stat so far this week?
Port have won 8 in a row, and they won by 100 points 6 weeks ago.
Over who?
Sydney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are they playing in the prelim?
Sydney.
Oh, jeez, that's news.
Haven't heard it this week.
They also, the other one is, belted by 112 in round 21 a
Yeah.
month and a half ago. The sort of, the setup here for me is like, how much relevance and credence do you put into the idea of like, oh, it's at this SCG this time? That doesn't matter as much. Most of those losses to Port have weirdly enough not actually come at the SCG. There's only been 3, I think,
3.
out of all those,
Yep.
right? So I don't know how much time, effort, thought do you put into that?
Absolutely none.
Really?
Yeah.
0.
Because I'm also looking at the Swans team when the Swans lost by 112 points, when there was no Dane Rampy, no Lewis Melican. You had Aaron Francis and Peter Laddams playing. Ooh. Like, it wasn't a great team. There was probably 6 or 7 of the Swans 23 that are running out this weekend that didn't play in that game against Port Adelaide. And that was also just at the peak of their, or not the peak, it was at the absolute low of how bad they were playing. Port at the time were the form team of the competition, because they'd fired Ken like 6 weeks before that. They'd beaten, after they'd lost to Brisbane, they'd beaten St Kilda and started winning games and looking really good and dangerous. And then it was just like, here's this team going this way, here's the other team going the opposite direction. And it all just into this amazing crescendo where Charlie Dixon kicked like 4 goals. The
crescendo was me drinking 1 million beers in Noosa while this happened as well. It was awesome.
It was me getting depressed on my birthday. It was great.
Sucked in.
Yeah, I think we have to consider it a little bit, don't we? Like,
I think we do.
112 points. Like,
so there was an interesting one. So remember when there was the Kennett curse?
Yeah, you don't have to remind me.
All of those wins were home and away. When you finally played them in the finals is when you knocked them off.
Is that proving Kennett's theory? When it matters.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The Swans had lost like a couple of 10 years ago, had lost 13 straight games or something to Collingwood. Finally played Collingwood in a final and beat them.
So Taj has nailed it as well. That's exactly what you said. It was the Sydney Trough and the Port Peak.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. As Reece Williamson points out, 5 of the last 6 matchups have been in the Adelaide Oval. Bang on. Hey, what are the dimensions of the SCG versus the Adelaide Oval, Alex?
No.
The SCG's actually got a bigger square meterage than the Adelaide Oval.
What is it compared to the MCG, though?
I don't know. It's like 5 meters smaller.
Sorman says, I'm not convinced Swans are back to their peak 2024 form.
I think we've seen the last time we saw them was the best footy we'd seen them play since that Geelong game. It just happened to be the last 30 minutes of football we've seen from the Swans.
That's kind of my one big problem, is that the first 3 quarters of that, GWS had their number. Like, it was kind of like...
It's GWS, though. They
always have...
People were tipping them to win the flag.
King Charlie kicked 3 against the Swannies last time, says Power Prawn Star. Sorman says, see you at the SGC. So he's going to go to the Sydney Ground Cricket.
Yeah.
That's good. A bit worried about that.
He's going to Allianz next door for the NRL.
He's going to Olympic Park or something. It's going to be, wait a second, where is everybody? But I mean, if Port actually do this, remarkably, it would be the first Port away final win since 2014.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, considering that they've been in the finals a lot over the last 10 years. For it to be their first away win would be psychotic.
Yes.
Especially considering it's like, the best team we've seen in 150 years. But before we get into any more stats, and like I guess the stats that we sort of throw out there each week with the offense, defense, like we know the Swans is the best offense in the league. Port was 8th. Defensively, remarkably enough, Port were 3rd.
Yeah.
I still don't know how much, I feel like their pressure, as we saw against the Hawks last week, right? That's where their defense sort of comes in, where it's just like consistent. They drag you into playing their game. That's how they beat you. And that's how they sort of have like this really good defensive rating of like 76.2 points given up per game. Do we, there's nothing that really sort of strikes fear into me though, like of that power backline.
No.
So what do we think? How does that match up? The offense, the defense? It's what Sydney were ranked 6th, I think, in defense, but that was randomly because there's not that many points separating.
It was like 7 points
6,
between. It was 7 points first through 6. I think it was in the end.
So
it's a goal.
Sydney have that classic between 1 and 6 of offense, defense. You're in the premiership window. Obviously, Port a little bit out on offense, which tracks. And I don't know, like you've got Georgiades versus the Sydney defense. You've got the Sydney offense versus the Port defense.
And then you just got these awesome midfields just going head to head.
Yeah. And I feel like the Sydney offense versus the Port defense, I feel like that's in Sydney's favour. Despite some of their offensive woes, I think they have more avenues to goal than Port. And as for Port's offense versus that Sydney defense, I don't know. How do you feel about it, Leo?
I think Port's defense has it easy when their midfield pressures the way they did last week. Like, it's a lot reliant on their midfield, and I think they'll start hot, Port, but they got battered by the end of our game. It was a very physical game. Horn Francis was cramping terribly. Like, they would be very sore. I think they'll run out of legs here.
You've also got Burton. Burton's in off a calf as well, which is, it's a worry. No one's fully fit, but bringing someone in off a soft tissue is always a bit of a concern. And Power Prawn I agree. Alir is a gun. The Swans did have him. We gave him up and he's an All-Australian. I think, like Leo said, for Port to have their best chance is the pressure from the midfield. So you're hitting the sky balls into the Swans
makes it
forward
easy.
line and Alir's just like, haha, intercept mark, let's go.
Yeah.
Whereas if the Swans can get a bit of a gap when they're kicking the football low and hard into the forward line, if you've got Errol, Chad, Heaney delivering the footy, the Swans forwards and even the small forwards are just going to have a field day. Because Alir is great in the air. He's a bit of a liability when it hits the ground.
Yeah. Alir is awesome. Brandon Zerk-Thatcher, as Power Prawn Star points out, he's been really good. He's been really good in this final series.
Yeah.
But it's like the dudes like Bergman and
Bergman's
Bergman's
very
been
good.
fantastic. Willem. I said it right the first time. What are we doing here? Willem Drew and Miles Bergman. Like in talk about pressure, like it comes from them, I think, as well, especially around the stoppages, just like sort of getting on the outside, just stymieing every sort of little bits of movement. So I don't know. Let's talk about the 3 key players we think we have for each team.
Yep.
This is the new thing for the prelim and for the grand final.
Cool.
It's pretty easy for me.
Yep. Go.
Port, Zach Butters, Mitch Georgiades, and Jason Horne-Francis. Georgiades, all he does is kick 3 goals. That's just what he keeps on doing.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like, let's go, Mitch. Butters was incredible last week coming off his rib knock, which was
Running around like a psychopath.
just lunatic gear. And Horne-Francis was fantastic to the point where it's like, he's just going to win this game. Like, he has these moments where he's like, I'm going to do a Heaney.
Yeah.
I'm going to win this game off my own back. And you're like, okay, can you also not try to fight everybody? Just hang on for 1 second, buddy. But they're the 3 most important for Port for me. Alex, what do you reckon?
For Port, I've got Horne-Francis as well because I look at Port's midfield and it's explosive. It's not speed, but it's just that it's explosiveness that they can have moments where in 5 minutes they can take the game away from you. But in those 5 minutes, they may kick 4 goals. So I've got Horne-Francis and Butters there. But then my next one's Alir, because if he can start taking the intercept mark to stop the Swans from scoring, but also to help set up Port because he'll have runners coming off him with handball receives. SCG, again, we know it's not that big of a ground. They can transition very quickly into their forward line. So I think Alir is a big player there. Power Prawn Star has said Sydney small forwards scare the hell out of him. I agree with that because Port have a propensity of leaking goals to small forwards. The Wizard last week got a hold of him, and we would say Papley and Will Hayward are very, very big upgrades on the Wizard.
I'll pay that. Leo?
I've got Horne-Francis and Butters, as you two pointed out, but I've also included Willie Rioli. I just thought last week.
Say it correctly.
Willie!
Yeah.
No. Winner!
There we
That's
go.
how you say it.
I thought his creativity last week against us was very, very good. Every time he got the ball, you feel like something was going to happen. And
He had that incredible, like, little just dart kick.
Yeah.
That, well, I think we hit on the Sunday show, right? Like, he just nailed it into
It was across field.
it's like Sweet or somebody on the forward line.
No, hit Sparkle Knuckle.
I think it was Knuckle, yeah.
But it was absolutely sick. And you're like, dude, how did you even see that, let alone actually kick
Yeah,
it
just
that way?
boop,
It was
boop,
awesome. But I love that call on Willie.
Yep.
Yeah, because if he kicks, 3, potentially 4 goals, that goes
They
a long
probably
way for
win. Yeah,
Port
you
winning
think
the game.
he and Georgiades probably have to kick 6 to 8 between them for him to win.
Charlie Dixon will kick 12.
Out in the full.
Sydney, who are the 3 key players for the Swans? Easy one for me. Whoa, roll. Alex is wearing the shirt. It has his name on it. And away we go.
Yeah.
Just if he has a really, really good game, it's hard to see them losing.
Yep.
That's what happened. Like there's almost a direct correlation between he and my second one, Isaac Heaney.
Yep.
If they have good games, they just don't lose. To the point where I believe with Sydney, if Heaney has like an actual half decent game, statistically, they don't lose. I think they're 14-2 when he's got 20 plus disposals and a goal.
Huh.
That's ridiculous.
That's it. That's actually really
How many of those games going into the last quarter was he like 13 and 2
Collingwood.
behinds?
The Collingwood game.
14-2.
So they would have lost the Freo game and the St Kilda game. They're the 2. They've lost them by 3 points.
Also, who needs the stats boy? You got the stats man.
Yeah. Stats Jim.
I'll come around tomorrow. Karen, kick him out. Off we go. And my third is Tom Papley.
Yeah.
So actually, Power Prawn Star hit on this, right? About how the Sydney small forwards scare him. Like, Papley's that exact dude where it's like, is it a final? Cool. Where are we? SCG. Sick. Here's 3 goals.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
And he's the barometer for the crowd as well. Like gets them up, celebrates like there's no tomorrow.
Everybody hates him. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Papley does literally almost anything, like if he gets more than a goal, like it's hard to see Sydney losing the game. Like that's how.
And you also got to remember he was first up for 8 weeks coming into that final as well.
He's also had 15 plus disposals in their last 7 finals. Tom Papley,
Yeah.
big game player. It's not bad. How about you, Alex? Your 3 key swans.
Yeah. Chad Warner's the first one. I think he's had games that he's floated in and out of in the last couple of months, but when he's been on, he's been electrifying, and it has helped win Sydney the game. You think he had 7 clearances in the last quarter against GWS, his last quarter alongside Heaney against Collingwood. You need him to do more than 1 quarter, though. You need it to be 3 to 4 quarters of good footy. If he can get 25 to 30, remember that Carlton game where he's just running through the midfield, laughing his ass off, taking 3 bounces? If he can do that, the Swans are going to go close to winning. Same goes to Brodie Grundy. Massive game for Grundy up against Big Jordan Sweet, who had a massive game last week.
Yep.
Grundy is the guy who seemingly goes well off a break. I need him to play well here for the Swans to be a chance. This is a bit of a different one. Harry Cunningham.
Ooh.
Locking down where? He has been the best small defender in the competition this year.
Blake Hardwick says hello.
Blake Hardwick, who?
He's also just threw an elbow into your face right there.
He's
Let's
but
go.
he's also he's blanketed Brent Daniels a couple of times. He's blanketed Charlie Cameron. He's taken on all the dangerous forwards. He's had 1 goal kicked on him in 6 weeks.
Jeez.
Not bad.
Let's go, Harry.
As Taj Thorne points out, I think the Sydney Smalls and whichever mid rotates through could pose huge problems for them. Also points out, I think if Errol goes 25 plus Sydney win,
Yep.
Errol will cop Drew.
Yeah.
Says Power Prawn Star.
Yeah, Willem Drew will run with him.
Interesting.
Drew's more inside, though, I reckon.
Yeah, but the problem is...
Let's go, Harry.
Willem-
Says turbocharged golden retriever. Love
Willem
that.
Drew probably can't tag Heaney. He's probably not strong enough to.
Maybe Warner then.
Interesting. In addition to my Papley one about the 15 plus in 7 straight, he's also kicked 2 plus goals in 7 of his last home games.
Yeah, nice.
Not bad. Hey, Leo, who are your 3 key swans?
I've gone with Heaney because he's a god. I've gone with Chad Warner because his pace is electrifying. Alex touched on it. I think if he can get his burst away from stoppage, so Port's pressure is just irrelevant, then I think that'll go a long way for the Swans winning this game. And I've gone with Dane Rampy, similar to why you've gone with Cunningham, but if he can shut down Georgiades, that limits a massive avenue for goal.
So you think Rampy goes to Georgiades and not Tom McCartan?
I think so. I think Tom McCartan has to play on the bigger body.
Okay.
Even though it is Dixon.
So that means Lewis Melican and Asava can just mid each other over on the side.
They could just play cards.
They
in
could
the
just go
pocket or
hang in the
something.
forward pocket.
Hang out, just compare R.M. Williams' boots or something. All right, that's good because that sets us up for a couple of these looks for... Stats Boy always rolls out with a couple of good stats for the players. We've already hit on a couple, but Heaney has gone for 30-plus touches in 3 straight home games too. It's not bad.
Okay, yeah.
Dude can play a bit. This is the sort of game where you go, you've grabbed a qualifying final by the scruff of the neck and won it off your own back. Can you do it in a prelim? If you can, you almost unimpeachably go, and then if you have a half-decent grand final, maybe win a Norm Smith, you're a top 3 AFL player.
Yeah.
Bang. Yep. Top 3. Simple as that. You've just had a final series for the ages. It's there on the table for him. Can he grab it?
It's also there on the table for someone like Hornet and Butters too.
Exactly. Hornet has had 1 goal in 7 straight games as well. At least a goal.
Yeah, nice.
I love a bit of Hornet, 20 plus and a goal. And Logan McDonald has kicked a goal in 6 straight at the SCG as well, which is pretty fun. So I think the big question mark for me is that Sydney forward line, and where you have all those avenues to goal. You've got a Marty, Logan McDonald, Hayden McLean, all these dudes sort of floating around.
This is where Big Dos could take 10 marks. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
And that's kind of the thing where you're like, Alir is only one dude sometimes.
But you still got
Zerkvat's is pretty handy, but Jews. And I think that's where it's all going to sort of come down to. I think if you have Warner kicking 1 or 2 goals, they win.
Yeah.
If Heaney has a goal, it might be over. But the power can just drag the power. Yeah, that checks out.
Power.
If they can drag this in the mud, and how do they do that? It's stoppages, it's Butters, it's Rosie, it's Wine. So, some of our best bets / tips for this game brought to you by TopSport. Love this. Power Prawn Star's got 20 and 2. I love that. That's one of my best bets always because he's read my mind. He's looking at our notes. Jason Horn-Francis, 20-plus disposals and anytime goal is one of my all-time favourites this year. It has delivered plenty. And my classic when it comes to power is the 25-25-20.
Yep.
Which is 25 for Butters, 25 for Rosie, which has been way off.
Yeah, that hasn't been
Way
good
off.
for
He
you.
got to 20 eventually last week, I think. Maybe 19, maybe 20.
Yeah.
I think he snuck over the 20. And Wines has been fantastic like the last, 2-3 months. So this sort of just hinges, and I think you'll get pretty decent actually looks if you can get Rosé at 25. If he gets there, I'm not wildly convinced this week, but I still can't, shirk the 25, 25, 20. And Heaney, 20 plus touches and 2 goals, 25 plus touches and 2 goals, 30 touches and 2 goals. I feel okay about all of those. And I'll be laddering that, I think.
Haven't also mentioned the Swans are unbeaten in prelims at the SCG too.
Well, you just did.
Yeah. We hadn't got to it yet.
All right. So how do we feel about this with our Sydney versus Port Adelaide AFL Today same game multi brought to you by TopSport, the home of footy finals? Errol Goulden, 25 plus disposals. Yep. He's done that in 17 of his last 21.
On the fence about that one.
Chad Warner, 20 plus disposal. He's done that 19 of his last 20 times at the SCG.
On board.
Pretty good. Zach Butters, 25 plus disposals.
Yep.
He's had 27 plus in his last couple against the Swans.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with this.
Chad Chunley Warner, anytime goal.
Yep.
Willie Rioli, anytime goal.
I like it.
Are we okay with this?
If I was to rate it and rate your multi, I'd give it an 8.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
What about you, Alex?
I'd probably change the Willie one to maybe a Georgiades. But that's just me, just in case Harry Cunningham clamps again.
Sure. Georgiades, though, just keeps kicking 3, so I'd make it 2 for Mitch.
Fair enough.
I just wanted to keep Willie in there for the anytime.
Yep.
Fair.
Cool.
I just like it.
You like Willie anytime, do you?
I do. Cut that out. Let's go. And when I say cut it out, put it on the socials. Let's go. So that's the same game multi for the AFL Today show for that prelim. What's the big question? Has Port already played its grand final?
I think so, I mentioned they were battered after our game. They were so sore towards the end of it. We had chances to win it. Obviously we didn't. They were the better team, but they looked really, really tired. I think they might run out of legs.
I agree. I think they did as well. You had the emotion of the week where you had Guinea's comment, you've been belted by 80, everyone's questioning you, you're no good, you're fake, it's this, that's finals, you fall off the wagon again. And they've lifted and they've thrown everything into it. So this could be that big adrenaline dump, physical dump game where they're just flat. It's one of those things you don't know till the game starts, but 10 minutes in it could be like they're flat. But mentally they're going, we just beat Sydney. We always beat Sydney.
That is entirely my look at this game. With all due respect to Power Prawn Star, who says, I love Willie. And I've got to stop saying that on camera, but here we are. Did the Swans win? Says, g'day, fellas. Is Alex as nervous as I am?
Not yet.
He is. He's just hiding it. People keep forgetting Port was the only team to win all 6 of their last games. Sure. In the home and away. Port play better when Ken's job's on the line, and if it's safe because they made a prelim, says Boston Airs. ...
Yeah. ...
That's my entire thing.
Yep.
The emotional come down from last week of just riding the high.
Yep.
Actually pulling it off.
At home
in front of your fans. Your 3-point win over the Hawks. A tough game. The after siren special from Ken. Fly, Eagles, fly. I struggle to see how Port can get back up to that high.
Yeah.
On the road, even against their bunny team. And all due respect to Port, just killing Sydney for 8 years. I'm all about it. I just think they've already kind of done their dash.
Yep.
It's hard to sort of get around it. Sydney rested at home. They've looked inexorable at times this year. They have also looked randomly
horrendous,
vulnerable at home. So Power Prawn Star does point out, I've heard no one saying this week, what if Port's midfield goes nuts? So lads, what if Port's midfield goes nuts? I mean, I kind of hit on that in that the 25-25-20. That's their key, right? And if they have the 25-25-20 from Butters, Rosie, Wines, and you also get the Horn Francis 20 and a goal, 20 and 2.
Yeah.
Port can win that.
They 100% can.
Yep, for sure.
But they need Rosé to lift.
Rosé needs to be way better. So should Port be praying for rain, says Sorman?
Well, they might need to because the weather in Sydney looks pretty decent.
Rain dances.
I think Port will make this a game.
Okay.
Yeah, so do I.
I, however, think Sydney will just pip them in the end. I've actually got them by 18 at this point. That is just where they sort of run over them late, and Port probably just run out of steam down the stretch, and they kick the last 2 goals to put it out of their reach in the last 5 minutes, and you're like, that game was awesome. I can't quite see Sydney kicking their heads in. I just think Port's game is just going to try to like really ruin the Swans. Like, this is trying to give Port as much credence as they deserve, right? This has been a really good team at times this year. When they kicked their heads into the Swans, that was amazing. But at the same time, that was their peak. That was Sydney's trough, as we pointed out. I just think Sydney get it done. Best on ground, I'm going to say Heaney.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alex.
Swans get the job done by 4 goals. They lead all the way. Heaney best on as well.
Nice one. Will Alex rip up a Swans jumper if they lose?
I'm not a fake fan like Marcus.
Nice. Leo.
Well, we've got a hat trick here because I'm going Sydney by 9 points and I'm going Heaney best on ground as well.
Jeez.
I think we just love Heaney.
Yeah, we do.
Need StatsBoy to pipe up and go, oh, maybe Chad Warner.
Or him to go, I don't rate Heaney.
Boston
Maybe
Airs.
Willem Drew.
Boston Airs, SCG will get them over the line. I'll
Yeah.
pay that. Port by 1 after being up 35 at the half, says Power Prawn Star. Don't mind that. Marcus wrecked for no reason, lol. 100%. All right. So we've actually all gone the Swans. Does that fill you with confidence, Alex, or not?
Yeah, I've been confident all week. Just as said, I think the Swans having the rest and Port Adelaide having the big potential drop off after last week, throwing everything that they could at Hawthorn and just getting over the line where they were quite clearly the better team.
Yeah.
And Hawthorn nearly snatched it. So I think there's something weird with Port Adelaide in finals, but they beat the Swans. So it's
I love it.
I love footy. I love footy.
It's chaos. Hook me up to the chaos machine. We'll go even more chaotic for the second preliminary final. Saturday evening, not night, evening, 5:15 p.m. at the MCG. Geelong, let's just check these odds. Still $1.74 to win. 4.5 point favourites. And the Brisbane Lions are $2.10. It's pretty close. Just saying, the over-under is 171.5. How do we feel about that to start off with?
Straight over.
I think that'll hit the over. 2 very exciting offenses.
Yeah.
So when they've played in the past, this was a shocking game back in April.
It was a rain game, wasn't it?
37-63.
Brisbane kicked 4 goals, 13.
Ugh.
Horrible game last year.
13. Oh, that was the rain game last year.
Prior to that, didn't hit this over. Prior to that, did not hit this over. Prior to that, did not hit this over. I think there's a trend there, gentlemen. Doesn't hit the over. I might have to go the under.
Interesting. Uh-huh.
The Lions' offense has been fantastic. We understand that. Accuracy, I mean, there's the...
They kicked 15-15.
Exactly, but swings and roundabouts when it actually mattered. They kicked 6 goals straight, so when it mattered, when they needed to. And Joey Duckett's just like...
Full Joe.
It's like, I don't know, the spirit of big Roger Merritt just leaned down and just kissed him on the top of the noggin as he was kicking the...
Or Ash McGrath.
I was going to say, Roger Merritt wasn't exactly a sharpshooter, but
Ash McGrath, Miracle on Grass.
Alistair Lynch, Daniel Bradshaw.
Alistair Lynch is much better. That's a good one. Maybe Alistair Lynch just leaned over the fence and just gave him a kiss. Anyway, the way this is set up, is that the mood? Need some whiskey. Geelong, Brisbane, there's a storied history between these two teams anyway, right? Which is awesome. We've had 2 prelims in the last, 5 years already? This will be the 5th in 5 years. So 3 in 5 years. 2020, Cat smashed them by 40. That was at the Gabba. 2022, Cat smashed them.
Oh, that was
49.
That was horrendous.
That was a bloodbath. That was one of those games where, Brisbane are never going to win the MCG again. Ever. Like, in 30 years, they won't have won another game here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the big stat. Do you like lumbering a toilet? Yes. 24 is a different Brisbane team.
Yep.
They've won another final on the road already, which is crazy because that's kind of the point here. You might have heard this stat, Leo. Brisbane are 2-16 at the MCG over the last 10 years. And who have they beaten in those 2 games?
The D's.
Melbourne. Anyway, the other thing was, in the Fagan era, they were 1-3 away from the Gabba in finals.
Yep.
After last week, they're now 2-3. Does that fill you with a little bit of hope?
No.
No.
Really?
No.
Not at the G?
They beat
No,
a
I
half
don't-
full GW, half field stadium at NG. Like
Nah, it does. It does.
if you did it at the Adelaide Oval, I might care a little bit more.
Interesting.
Or Perth.
You have to cast your mind back 20 years to the 2004 prelim. Brisbane won at 84-75.
That was also the last time Brisbane beat Geelong in Melbourne.
Yep.
Funnily enough, Brisbane were the home team that night
Which is weird.
because Port Adelaide were finished on top of the ladder.
Now, we did talk about the Geelong team and what was that 2004 Geelong team? We couldn't remember.
It was like Ablett, Bartel.
Exactly.
They'd
It's
all played like
it's
10
the babies.
games.
It's
Yeah.
the baby cats. It was awesome. And they made a prelim because it was like 25-year-old Tom Harley, 25-year-old Stephen King.
Yeah.
It's like they're the sort of like stars of the team.
And 2 years later.
You've got a baby Jimmy Bartel. You've got a baby.
Gary Ablett
Gary
Jr.
Ablett.
Had 13 touches and kicked 2 goals.
He was 19.
Yeah.
That's you even had like just a baby Max Rook, a baby Chappie.
Max Rook
He
was never
22.
a baby. He had a beard the whole time.
Paul Chapman was 22 and would have been bald and looked like it's awesome. Anyway,
And
it's
then
just
2 years later, they nearly sacked Bomber Thompson, and thankfully they didn't. They won the grand final in 2007 by 170 million points.
20-year-old James Kelly, 22-year-old Joel Corey,
James Kelly's still playing. footy,
19-year-old
probably.
Tom Lonigan. Like it was such a weird team, and I love it. So,
And this was the tail end of Black, Ackermanis, Voss, Lappin.
yeah. Well, they lose that grand final to Port.
Yep.
And away they go. So I guess it kind of sets up as just the simple idea of like
Brisbane don't win in Melbourne.
Brisbane just don't win at the MCG. Can they sort of flip it? Did baby Jim still have a fancy beard? No.
When did you grow the beard?
18.
Okay.
I grew my first one. It was really annoying because I was the youngest kid in my high school year, and I never had thought about growing a beard to like get into pubs. And then I turned 18. I actually had my ID. I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. What am I doing?
I've been calling it Crandall.
Oh, jeez. I never got one. Once did I ever get asked for ID. It was so dumb. Anyway, yeah, that sucked. But anyway. So we've got some other ones here. I think Cats by 2 goals says, did the Swans win? I want Lions by 1 point in double overtime. I like that. I hope so bad that Brisbane win this game. Then we can tow Geelong out to sea and sink it, says Power
He's
Boys.
still getting over 2007.
Or 2 weeks ago.
Sorman is a good one. Brisbane win is simple. Play the first half from the elimination and the second half from the semi. I love that.
That's pretty.
That's
yeah.
exactly right.
So that means they'll win about 120-6.
they were almost flawless, basically flawless in that
Yeah.
first half of the elimination final. Incredible in the second half of the semi, obviously. Swans by 118 says lols cow. So not
Love
bad.
your confidence, Lols Cow.
But I guess in terms of like the some of the other stats, if we want to go a little bit stat boy wonky here, Brisbane's covered the line in 8 straight as an underdog, which is pretty cool. So
Yep.
thing is, that's covering the line. That's still plus 4.5. So there is a little bit of wobble room where they lose by 3.
True.
And away they go. But this was my thing that I brought up last week. Since the start of May, the Brisbane Lions of Brisbane, Queensland,
Yep.
located specifically in the Wollongabba area of Brisbane,
Above the 28th parallel.
above the 28th parallel of this big blue marble we call the planet Earth,
Ah, yes.
have lost 3 games since the start of May. 3. That's not many. So, form is on their side. I feel like they've played themselves just into holes and then back out of holes in this
Yeah.
final series.
Yeah.
Like, they came back from 44 points down last week.
Yeah.
That's incredible. They've got the belief they can win away in a final as of last week again. I'm fascinated by this game
So
to the
am I.
point where I'm going to get to it. I don't mind Brisbane.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. Who are the 3 key players?
So before we get to that, I saw an amazing stat, and this reminded me that Sorman said it. Brisbane was one of the only 2 teams to beat the greatest team this year, Gold Coast at home. So no team that has lost to the Gold Coast has won the premiership that year. Port Adelaide lost in Gold Coast, and Geelong got smashed in that weird Darwin game.
Brisbane are going to win.
There you go.
Flag Lions? Yeah, anyway. Brisbane is one of only 2 teams to beat the greatest team this year, Gold Coast at home.
I just
And
read that out.
I know. And it's like this entire idea of the 28th parallel.
Yeah.
Like, how worried do we then get that, again, travel for the second week. You're away from the 28th parallel.
And that's the thing. Even to win next week and then get to the grand final, it's 3 straight weeks of travel. It's very hard to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Geelong are a bunch of dirty hippies, says Power Prawn Star.
There's no lie.
Look at what happened to Chris Scott's hair. Yeah, he got awesome. Chris Scott looks like the world's greatest single dad who's just like slaying every divorced mum
Jumped
of
in
Geelong.
slaying, Jim.
It's just, it is Chris Scott vibes, I'm just saying. Anyway, let's do it. 3 key players for each team. For the Cats, Jez up.
Yeah, obviously.
Tom Stewart, now that he's back. Brad Close
It's weird.
has a goal at the
Very
MCG, I think almost every time he's played there.
Okay.
I think it might be like 9 straight. But it's really sort of, that's more indicative of like Brian Myers, Brad Close, the smalls around Jezza.
Manna from heaven.
Sean Manor, who they came out and said, hey, we should have been playing him all season. It's like, oh, duh! Oh, come on, man! Anyway.
Your Supercoach team says so.
Exactly. I had him all year. I was yelling it from the clouds. But it's like Stengel, Close, and Brian Myers around the tall timber. And like, we'll get to some of the other tall timber in a second, but Jezza is obvious, makes just a lot of sense. He's at the MCG. He loves it with a G. Off we go. Tom Stewart. Why is he key? Well, he's key to what they do, but how healthy is he as well is a big one, right? So, and Brad Close, just those guys snagging goals. I think Stengel's got 3+ in their last 3, so pretty crazy. Alex, Geelong, 3 keys.
Jezza, quite clearly, quite obvious, probably the most important player in the game. Danger, does he have another big final left in him at the MCG? He's the type of guy that can rip it open with just 20 touches. And weirdly, Ollie Henry, just to help Jezza and the forwards out, he really needs to kick a couple of goals, even if it's just 2, just to ease the pressure off Jezza.
Nice.
Just to chip in with that little thing.
Leo?
Well, you've basically covered them all. Jezza, Danger, and Stewart. I just think those 3, when they're firing, they're like the main barometers for the Cats.
And it's just that like spine.
Yeah, literally.
I like that. Lots of great hair for this game, says the stats boy. Ashcroft, Dempsey, Stewart, Chris Scott.
Yeah.
It is.
A good hair game.
It's a great hair game. Loman.
Yeah, Kyle Loman's bleach.
Let's go.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Random Q for you boys says, did the Swans win? SDK left out for the Cats. Should the Swannies be making a call?
You just saw my Twitter. Did the Swans win? I did say that 20 minutes ago.
He was yelling about it in the office.
Yeah. Honestly, just
My point is get Sam DeConing on the Blues to go with Tom DeConing. We'll keep all the DeConings.
Would you trade Sam DeConing for Tom DeConing?
no,
chance.
that's the dumbest trade ever.
Tom's awesome.
But yes, I would absolutely take Sam. Sorry, Frosty.
Someone does ask, no Sam DeConing, is Joe Danaher going to run free? It's a tough matchup for that
Yeah.
back line. Interesting. But that does get us to the 3 keys for the Lions. We just mentioned him. Joey Duckets, Joey Danaher. Can he
Full
keep
Joe.
his kicking boots on? He does love the MCG. We've talked about this time and time and time
Big
again.
game player now too.
He is a very big game player. And I think in terms of his record at the MCG, in the big games against Collingwood when he was with Essendon,
Yeah.
he'd always show up. Every time he's come back down with the Lions, he's actually been one of the dudes who has stood up. Grand final last year, half decent. Let's go, Joey Duckets. If he's just such a tough matchup for this Cats backline, right? In terms of their size, you sort of look along there, you go, they've named Blixavs at halfback, sure. It's like, other than that, it's like Zach Guthrie, Jack Bowes,
I thought it'd be Jack Henry personally.
Jack Henry, sure. And you've also got, I mean, they've still got to worry about Hipwood too, but do you?
Do ya?
Do you?
No.
Either way, some good ones there. And in terms of other guys that I'm looking at, Charlie Cameron and Kyle Lohman. We're just
Yep.
going to go the smalls in that forward line too.
Yep.
Because they've got to basically outpace the Geelong smalls.
Yep.
Simple as that. That's all forward lines because I do love my Jack Paynes and my Harris Andrews, but Brisbane, offense. You got to blow Geelong off the park
Yep.
to beat them. Simple as that. I don't know if their defense is going to slow them down. You're going to take Geelong out of their game, and I think if your forwards can make them pay, away you go.
Yep.
Alex Lyons.
Lachie Neale, very simple because he's been very poor in his last 5 to 6 finals. He really needs to lift. Hasn't had above 25 possessions in those finals. I know he's carrying a bit of a heel issue, but it's finals, mate. Painkilling injection, couple of Panadols, get out there and get going. You're probably going to win your 3rd Brownlow this year. Do it in finals. That's the one thing that's missing from his resume.
Also not a medical doctor. Just
Definitely not a medical doctor. Jack Payne, weirdly enough, because he's probably going to go on Jezza, maybe, because Harris Andrews won't take the key, won't take Jezza because he likes to free himself up for the intercept marking role. So Payne keeping Jezza quiet, very important. And Man built for the big stage. Huge McCluggage.
Huge.
He's had good games. He was great in the grand final last year. This is the game where he needs the Heaney-esque, the Chad Warner-esque game of 20, 25 and 2 goals. He needs to hit the scoreboard. He has done it before in big games. He needs to lift.
Like it. Leo?
I've gone with Lachie Neale, same with Alex, just because I remember back to a final against the D's a couple of years ago where he was just a man possessed. He was winning every hard ball there was. So if he can do that again, he'll just carry the Lions on their back.
Since pre-COVID, his finals have been awful. I remember one final, he had like 46 touches, but since then, it's just been...
I've gone with Jack Payne as well, same with Alex, just because he's, like last week, he held his own against GWS. They did the little ring of Rosie around with the key forwards.
Yep.
Can he do it again this week? That's going to be a huge matchup. I've gone with Eric Hipwood.
Oh, boy.
Only because I look at this Geelong backline. We did touch on it, but Blixavs, Henry, Buse, Kolodjasny, they're not the tallest blokes. One of them can cover Joe, or like a multitude could cover Joe. Hipwood needs to see this matchup and go, I need to actually bloody do something here and kick 3 or 4
He's had
goals.
some weirdly good finals at the MCG as well.
Yeah, against the D's, yeah.
Yeah.
So he needs to step up. So he's a huge factor.
So Joey Duckets has also kicked, in 44 games at the MCG, he's kicked 85 goals.
Yep.
I love that.
That's not bad.
And Hipwood at the MCG.
Oh, God. Don't tell me.
He's played 16 games. How many goals has he kicked?
20.
40.
29.
Yeah.
Okay.
Split the middle. It's not bad.
Yeah. Also, Jack Payne's tactic, if he's on Jezza. Jezza, how are the cows and the sheep?
He won't matter. It won't mind too much because he's actually in the state. So
Yeah, but it's also like, if it's pretty warm and it's sunny outside, how's the crop going? Is it a bit warm
kind of
out
want a
there?
bit of rain so you can just get under.
Start talking about the rain.
It's just like,
I reckon there's a bit about. Off we go. Craig M says, Lions Geelong winner wins the whole thing.
Oh,
This game
boo.
is
Is that Craig
grand
McRae?
final.
Yeah.
Craig Muller? It is Craig McRae. It's Flea Fly. There we go. Emery's Geelong are the Chinese of the AFL. They all,
jeez.
No, you can't say that.
Didn't see your Twitter. Great minds think alike says, did this one's win? Best bets. These are just like the ones that sort of stick out to me. Stengel, first goal kicker. Nailed that 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
I was stoked.
You missed it, though.
We're doing the live stream. I didn't watch it because I never saw a goal from all of Geelong during that stupid live stream. I love
Because
Stengel.
you're an idiot.
Stengel's also like just snagging goals anytime he basically steps on a field at the moment. 3+ in his last 3 finals.
Jeez.
That's huge. Love me a bit of Stengel. Joey Duckets, he's got 2+ in 8 of his last 9, riding high. He loves the G. Love him as a 2+. And Jezza has 3+ in 3 straight games as well. Not bad.
Jezza has this ridiculous MCG finals record too.
Doesn't mind. He can just go out there and kick 5.
Yeah.
One of the other ones that I love just as a bit of a multi-edition is Shannon Neal. Going the other Neal. Anytime goal in 15 straight games.
That's why the Tomahawk isn't playing.
That's ridiculous. And we hit on that. I mentioned the tall timber aspect of the Geelong forward line. Like you hit on Ollie Henry and your key players, right? If he hits any type of bit of the scoreboard, Neil does a bit of something, and Jezza does something, it gets really, really hard for Brisbane to keep up. Away we go. And Sorman asked, goalless slugfest or shootout? I probably lean towards shootout.
So will I. Yeah.
Even though
I thought you said under.
the last 5 went under, but I reckon, I don't know, it could be a shootout and still go under. Just
I
saying.
agree.
And Cam Rayner, anytime goal, is one of the other little best ones.
Yeah,
But
nice.
here we go. The AFL Today show, same game multi for Geelong versus Brisbane. Let's do it. Dane Zorko, 25+ disposals.
Yep.
7 of the last 8. No
You don't
worries
think that Scott's going to tag him?
there. Who do they have to tag?
Not really anyone on the half forward line.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Jack Bowes goes to him.
Tom Atkins.
Yeah. Actually, Tom Atkins
Tom
is a
Atkins
good
more
call.
plays half back mid.
Yeah, but he's named as Rover here, Tom Atkins, so that
Yeah,
probably means he's going to Neil.
Interesting.
Max Holmes, 20+ disposals.
Love
Love
that.
that.
Easy. 25 in his last 26. Will Ashcroft, 20+.
Yep.
25+ in 4 of his last 5.
Coming of age game
built
last
for the
week.
finals, that
Ooh,
dude.
Then on top of that, Jeremy Cameron, 2+ goals.
Yep.
Loves the G, loves the final. Joey Duckets, 2+ goals.
Please make sure we
I
email
like it
these
a
to
lot.
Tristan.
I'm going to do that right now. Sweet as. There we go. How do we rate that then, Leo?
I rate that a 9. I like it a lot. I think Zorko, the tag is the only thing that's worrying
Yeah.
me.
I feel like they've learned though. Like if you just tag Neil, like I feel like that's
Well, the last week, Peatling was on Zorko,
Peatling
right?
did go to
and that
Zorko.
did work.
Yeah.
For a
as a good friend of the show, Lockie McCurdy, said he had about 600 words of Peatling tagging Zorko that will never see the light of
Yeah.
day.
And the surprisingly jacked Callum Dick also had 600 words that will never see the light of day.
I guess the thing is with Zorko, I did sort of toss around the idea of Dunkley in there. Doesn't mind the G as well.
Yeah.
Neil, I'm really worried about the heel injury.
Yeah, that's
just sort
fair.
of-
He hasn't got above 25 disposals in his last 6 finals. So.
Exactly. So I'm kind of away from that. All right. Time for the big question. Geelong, Brisbane. It's easy.
Yeah.
Can Brisbane play its best football on the road again, but this time at the MCG
I mean,
when it matters?
their last final at the MCG was probably one of the best games they've ever played at the MCG.
Exactly.
So they can do it. Will they? Don't know.
I think they can, and I think they will. I'm going to back them in.
I am going to as well. Sorman asked, which would be the better prelim? I reckon
Saturday.
Same.
I feel like Sydney Port will be a little bit scrappier. Geelong Brisbane might be more aesthetically pleasing. The Cats will demolish them, says turbocharged Golden Retriever. And Power Prawn Star points out, I'm from a cattle farming family. I talk about breeds and meat quality. Game over.
We know how to
great point.
distract him.
So is that do you have those Wagyu cows?
Are these grass fed?
I love that. All right. Tips margin. I can't get Brisbane versus Collingwood out of my brain.
Yep.
Grand final last year. Massive stage.
But they did lose.
They did lose, but they played fantastically.
Are you going because it's the vertical stripes rather than the horizontal stripes?
Maybe. It's not bad. Brisbane by 4. I think this game is going to be an absolute cracker.
I can't wait to
cannot
perch
wait.
up at the pub somewhere in Moore Park on Saturday, Arvo.
I'll be couch, tinge. Let's go.
So you're not moving for 2 days.
And then, to be honest, it'll be like 4 or 5 days. There's a lot of football on the week.
Yeah.
Alex.
Geelong by 11 points. Chris Scott is a genius. He's got time to get this right. He would have seen everything that the Lions have done in the first 2 weeks. Do you not think he's got a plan to come up to stop them? And he's also like, boys, it's Brisbane at the MCG. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Leo.
I've gone Lions by 13. I like that stat about since the pre-finals bye has come in, that there's always been a loser in the from the winner of the qualifier. So I think that'll happen in this game. I think Brisbane, there'll just be something weird in the air. I think they'll win by 13, and I think McCluggage will be man of the match.
Best on ground. We didn't actually say that, yeah.
Jezza.
I'm going to say Joey Duckett's again.
I'm
He
Jezza.
keeps writing last week and just goes,
Jezza 20-4.
because that's going to get to my big call for the weekend ahead. Joey Duckett loves the MCG. He's going to kick 4.
Oh,
Then he can go cut a rug at the curtain like he loves to. I just think that the size of that Brisbane forward line is going to be a bit of a problem for Geelong, but I think he's the only one who sort of stands up and actually helps them sort of get over the line. And on top of that, I mean, if I want to go for a big one on Sydney, I don't mind Chad Chunley-Warner for a 30-2. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I like that.
Backing Geelong just threw up on my mouth, said Power Prawn Star. If Geelong go on to be premiers, can we reject their taxpayer-funded training centres?
Can we do that anyway?
Yeah, we
do it anyway.
the scoreboard.
But anyway, I think my big call, Joey Duckett's massive game. And Chad Warner, if you just go, if you believe a lot. And he's at least 25 disposals, 2+ goals, Sydney winner running away. Alex.
Swans lead from start to finish.
That is a big call.
The Swans haven't led at quarter time. I can't remember, except for the Adelaide game. I cannot remember the last time they were in front at quarter time. So let's go. Sydney, jump, lead, and win.
Don't mind it. I've gone with the Clug for 30 and a goal. I said he'll be man of the match. I think he's going to have an absolutely huge game. As we mentioned, Neil carrying a heel issue. So I think he'll be quelled a little bit. And I think McCluggage, look for him to get on the scoreboard.
Nice. Stats Boy says Brisbane by 10 and Ashcroft legacy
No one
game.
asked Stats Guy. Come
Stats
on.
Boy's going to be like, that's Marcus Ashcroft, isn't it?
I was about to say, a legacy game when you've had 20 games just means you played your best game.
That's Nick Dacos.
Rate them all
Rate
now,
them all,
Stats
quick,
guy.
go! Here's a good one. In 12 of Sydney's last 13, its opponent has been the first to 3 goals. That is a big call there, Alex.
Yeah,
Start to finish.
I think in a couple of those games, the Swans had kicked like 1 goal 3, 1 goal 4. So they've had opportunities, they just haven't taken them.
Yeah.
Nice one. So the cool part is both of these prelim matchups have got history behind them where they've played plenty of times in pretty big games. This is awesome. What a weekend. What are we keeping our eye on? What is the little things that you think will sort of, the games will pivot on?
Ken.
Ken?
I've just got the camera on Ken.
Do you think Ken will try to fight pick on someone his own size and it's like,
Nah.
and he's like, John Longmire, hello. We're friends, right?
And then Dean Cox is just standing there just going,
Say something. All right, from last week, what we were keeping an eye on, Powell's response. Bang. Love that. Will they fight to save Ken? They did. Guinea's response, he was pretty good.
No, he wasn't good.
He was all right
He
to
fumbled
do.
a lot.
Hawks speed at Adelaide Oval. They stymied the Hawks
Yes,
speed.
they did well.
Incredible. GWS bouncing back from the heartbreak.
And more heartbreak.
They did into more heartbreak. GWS's crowd, it sucked. Brisbane's accuracy, still sketchy. Still sketchy.
Well, they were 4 goals 12, right? Or 4 goals 13?
Yeah,
4-10 at one point.
4-13.
4-13, bloody hell.
13!
And then I've just kept Brisbane's accuracy on for this week. So this week,
Yeah,
Port's midfield defensive accountability against Heaney, Goulden, Warner and co. That's where this game gets won.
Literally. Yeah.
I haven't even mentioned our man Cheeks just in there tackling everyone.
I love our man Cheeks, friend of the program. And that's kind of it. The defensive accountability going two ways. Can Port do it? If they do, they stand a really good chance in that game.
I think if Port bring the pressure they brought last week for the full game, I think they'll win, but I just don't think they will because they'll be knackered from
in
last
the
week.
GWS Sydney game. Wasn't GWS's pressure like the highest
Yeah, it
recorded
was.
in a final ever, and the Swans are just still
to keep that up for
Alex,
4 quarters
Alex,
is tough.
It was elite.
Thank you, Jim.
The pressure gauge.
It's green. It means
Yeah.
it's elite. I love the ranking.
Also, Dane Rampy's 250th and Heaney's 200th this weekend.
Pretty good. Big stuff. The other one, we had Port forwards versus Sydney backline.
Yep.
Whom goes where? And this is still like a really good question, I think, because you got the Sydney backline. Wait, what did I say?
Sydney backline against Port forwards.
That's right. Sydney backline. Jeez.
You had a stroke.
Is that the mood?
Let's go.
Tom McCartan, Harry Cunningham,
Yep.
Malikan, Rampy and co. It's like, can you contain Georgiades?
Yeah.
Outside of that, how much do you have to worry?
Yeah.
It's like Georgiades and Rioli, and you should be fine.
should be fine.
It's like when the Swans played the Crows. Thriller got off the chain a little bit, but they shut the other forwards down.
Yep.
If Georgiades kicks 4, but you're not letting Willie kick 1, you can call it.
Yeah.
You can cop it because Hogan kicked 3 against the Swans, but Toby and Daniels didn't kick 1.
Yeah.
So it's like
It would be the Port mids chiming in.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Rose, it's Butters. That's like the other thing, the 25-25-20. It's also 25 for Butters and a goal.
Yeah.
Rose kicked the first goal.
Yeah, he
of
did.
that
Got the
game.
free kick on
And
Warble.
away we go. Cool. Cat's speed or lack thereof.
That'll be fine.
That's the sort of thing where you like look at Brisbane and go, when they busted open Carlton in the elimination final, like the speed was just absolute chaotic. Tore them up. Last week, it wasn't quite as much against GWS. Different ground, not at home. Fascinating to see how the Cats combat that. If the Cats can make them play Geelong's game, Geelong win. Simple as that. And as long as Brisbane don't carve them up like they did against the Blues. And this is the other one. Jezza, Ollie Henry and Shannon Neal versus the Lions backline Timber. It's a fun matchup.
Yeah.
That's a really fun matchup. I worry about the other way
Yeah, that's
with
fair.
the Brisbane offense versus the Cats team.
Starcevic go to Ollie Henry or Stengel just quickly?
Ollie Henry.
You reckon?
Yep.
All right.
Daring is fast enough to keep up with.
Ainsworth to Stengel maybe.
Braden Campbell after 9 and a goal in the last quarter, I think is a swan to watch. Braden Campbell is always
Will it be
a swan
sub
to watch.
or Fox?
I think Campbell will be sub because it's also by just putting Fox in for Mills, you are not messing with like the rotation of the team and just the structure and lineup that they had against GWS. Put Fox in, keep Campbell as a sub. It worked. You don't need to go changing up.
Fox is a good sub option though. Like,
Yeah.
you wouldn't hate it if he was sub.
No, because if he's sub and one of the backs goes down early, he can play a little bit taller.
He can play a variety of roles.
Yeah, but I'd just slot Fox straight back into where Mills was, and I'd have Braden Campbell as the sub.
Nice.
Other ones keeping an eye on. Lockie Neal's foot. Just keeping an eye on it.
It's a bit weird, Jim, keeping an eye on his feet.
OnlyFans. What's going on? Brisbane's accuracy. We're always going to keep an eye on that. And then finally, my favourite. Loman, Ashcroft and the Young Lions versus the Young Cats. They're both felines. It's a feline battle. It's a feline bowl. But Holmes, Dempsey, the Young Cats. Like,
Holmes has also got a grand final to win after missing out 2 years ago.
Yes.
He's got to get back there. And does Fagan send Ashcroft to the ball again like he did in the
Yes,
second half?
100% he does. He starts on the ball.
God, he was good. Powered Prawn Star points out, I was a chef at a hotel that made all the food for the AFL teams. I used to make the food extra good for the teams playing Port so they'd overeat.
That's
True story.
that's very good.
I went all
So
out.
he
That's
literally
wicked.
just threw a big stick of butter
That's
in
so
everything.
good. It's like, geez, this is good.
Yeah.
Cheeks says turbocharged golden retriever. Port's opponent in the grand final will be the two teams that beat them by 70 plus.
That's pretty funny.
I love that. How much beer will Alex down if the Swans win in the grand final?
Yeah, I definitely won't be doing AFLW today on the Monday. Stats guy has been warned.
Nice.
There's also another warning, stats guy.
Power Prawn Star points out Holmes should get the tag.
Yeah, he got off the chain against Port.
He really tore him up. There you go. Those are two awesome games, gentlemen.
Yes.
So which one are you more excited? Well, you're obviously excited for the Swans game. Leo?
I'm probably more excited for the Brisbane Geelong game because, as we touched on, I think it'll be nicer on the eyes. I think Port Sydney will be a bit of a slogfest.
Yeah. Aesthetics. That's what it's all about.
I
Bo says hi. G'day, Bo.
We're just about to finish. I honestly just hope the Swans come out and win by 12 goals, and it's the most boring prelim for everyone else but Swans fans. Obviously. And Power
You're
Prawn.
the Grinch.
But Power Prawn Star's hoping the same for Port. He's hoping for a repeat of August the 3rd.
Yeah.
To be honest, that would be the funniest outcome if you just didn't have any points.
If you're a Port fan and you're like down by 8 goals at quarter time, surely you just chuck on that game from the second quarter. and you're just like, oh, this is pretty
And you
good.
just go-
This is what happening. Oh, shush.
And you've just got Hunter go, this is the top team.
How do they
What
change
is
venues
this?
in 5 minutes?
Yeah, that's my entire thing. So I'm just like 100% just like, nah, just I don't want to. The amount of stress I dealt with as a Carlton fan this year,
Yeah.
not once did they just smash a team.
So
Not once.
I don't want to have what I had to deal with 2 weeks ago in that qualifying
Yeah,
final.
yeah.
That was gross.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is you're a Sydney Swans supporter, and as we all know, the Swans will romp at home on the weekend and then romp home in the grand final. They're the best team in 150 years. How could they possibly lose?
Jim, you've been saying that all year and they're
There's-
still on top.
Exactly. That's why I've backed them. I'm backing them to the hill. If they're, I'm 100% behind them. I'm going to back them in this game. I'm going to put the biggest bet I put on this year on the Swans right now.
That's going to
to
hurt
win
him
this
more
one.
than me, so I don't care.
See what happens.
I got my horse running at Randwick on Saturday. I'm good.
I like it. Several tins, says Reese Williamson. Alex, will you do a shoey live on camera if the Swans win?
Of kombucha, yeah.
Next week, maybe, yeah.
The grand final?
The grand final show?
Yeah.
Oh, well, sure.
I like that. Sorman, meditate. All right. What else? If Porter's losing, how do I turn off the game when I'm at it? Tins.
Yeah, tins.
Lots of tins.
Many tins.
Shout out to Cliff House. There we go. By mediate, I mean, meditate. I mean, cans
Yeah.
and more cans.
Race 3 at Randwick on Saturday. God, give him strength.
Nice one. All right. Well, that'll do us for the AFL Today show for today. There are 3 games of AFL men's left this season.
Yep.
This is the exciting, very, very tip of the spear. It's awesome. I can't wait for these 2 games. It's going to be an absolute cracker.
That's we didn't ask it. And for Power Prawn Star, did the Swans do, and everyone listening to me or watching, would you rather lose the prelim or the grand final?
Grand final.
I'd rather lose the grand final. Losing a prelim sucks.
That's loser talk.
Yeah.
Losing a prelim sucks. You're like, we're okay. You get to a grand final, it's
Yeah.
like you get the entire week of
and
excitement.
that's it. At least you've made the grand final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legends, peace out. Thank you, Power Prawn Star. All right, thank you to Alex for jumping on before he goes up to Sydney tomorrow.
I might not be back for Sunday yet. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No one cares.
Yeah.
That's good. Even Gerald and Naomi like that. And of course, to Social Boy Leo
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Alex.
for a much taller presence in the middle
Yeah,
chair.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well,
it's not hard.
I've never been called tall before, so thank you.
Good job. But of course, remember to smash a like for the AFL Today show across all the socials, YouTube, Facey, Instagram, TikTok, X. Hit that little bell.
Yes,
so you get
the bell.
notifications on YouTube as well.
The dinger.
Jump in the comments, have a crack, off we go.
Spotify, Apple Podcast.
Rate, review, star, subscribe. Simple as that.
All the good
Chuck some
stuff.
comments in. And do that for all our other shows as well. Cricket Today podcast, Football Today podcast, NFL Australia, hold all tickets, and of course the AFLW Today show, which will be going absolutely hammer and tongs the rest of the season.
Richmond and Carlton are playing right now.
Oh,
Nice one. There
sick.
you go. Thanks for all your hard work, lads. Whiskey, says Liam McCallion. The
Who's
little
that
stats
guy?
man. Did the Swans win? Prefer to lose a semi. Get well soon, stats boy. That's pretty good. Is that Karen? Nice one. All right, that's it. We will catch you on Sunday for a prelim wrap. We will know our grand finalists on Sunday.
We've also got the Brownlow show dropping Monday.
We'll have a Brownlow show for Monday, so you'll have plenty of AFL Today show. Don't worry about that. We will catch you later this week for more AFL Today. Get around them like me getting around a few prelim tins. Are they prelim ready for more drinking? Yes. All right, look after yourselves. Remember, footy's back. If you like this show, make sure you check out all the other shows on the Sports Today network, from the AFL Today show to the Cricket Today podcast, the Football Today podcast, as well as NBA Australia and NFL Australia. With Sports Today, your sporting needs have never been easier to cover. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website gamblinghelponline.org.au.